let me move to the International Court of Justice, which held its first hearing today of a case presented by South Africa in which Israel is accused of committing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. I'm going to play you a small clip from one of the submissions from one of the lawyers today. Have a watch of this.
Each day, yet more desperate people will be forced to relocate from where they are sheltering, or will be bombed in places where they have been told to evacuate to. Entire multi-generational families will be obliterated, and yet more Palestinian children will become WCNSF, Wounded Child, No Surviving Family, the terrible new acronym born out of Israel's genocidal assault on the Palestinian population in Gaza.
All of that is true, isn't it?
I think it is tragic and appalling that South Africa has decided to play advocate for the devil and serve as the legal arm of Hamas.
I'm going to pause you there, if I may, Mr. Levy, because almost every point I put to you or every question I ask you, you respond with an answer that is not relevant to the question.
Well, let me answer directly then. The
Please.
lawyer there who is serving as the legal representative of Hamas, accusing Israel of genocide, is presenting a topsy-turvy reality in which Hamas does not exist, it hasn't taken hostages, Israel decided one bright morning to start bombing Gaza. On October 7th, we suffered an act of genocide. We suffered an act of genocide when Hamas invaded our country and burned, beheaded, tortured, mutilated, raped and abducted as many people as it could, as brutally as it could. And in response, we have launched a defensive campaign with very clear objectives: to destroy the Hamas regime so that it cannot hurt our people again, and to bring back the hostages who are still trapped in the terror dungeons. Those goals are very clear, and we have been pursuing them in full accordance with international law.
And that is disputed. I want to ask you about these comments made by Israeli politicians since October the 7th, and hopefully we can bring up the quotes. Here we are. This is your president. It's an entire nation out there that's responsible. He's referring to Gazans. Have a look at this. The next one. We are now actually rolling out the Gaza Nakba. Nakba, as people know, is a term for catastrophe after the 1948 war, a war used by Palestinians about ethnic cleansing. And we all have one common goal: erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. Can you see why some people believe that you absolutely don't want Palestinians any longer in Gaza?
We think we have been very clear, both in word and in deed.
In those words?
Well, Mr. Vatouri does not make decisions on security matters in Israel. We think we've been very clear, both in word and in deed, that the people of Gaza are not our enemy. Our enemy is the Hamas regime, and that is why we have gone further than any army in the history of the world to try to get civilians out of harm's way. Now, we just had the former...
I'm going to bring you back to the words of those politicians, if I may. We're now actually rolling out the Gaza Nakba. Nakba, the Palestinian term for ethnic cleansing. Those are the words of a government minister in your government.
Talk about a little bit of historical context, what the Palestinians refer to as the Nakba.
I'm just asking you about those words.
No, so I want to talk about that word Nakba. When the Palestinians use the word Nakba, they are referring to the consequences of the decision in 1948 to try to scuttle the creation of a Jewish state under the UN General Assembly resolution. They declared war in 1948. That war of annihilation did not go their way, and there were consequences as a result.
And how is that relevant to what your government minister has said now? Because what he is saying is we want to get rid of these people.
No, we do not want to get rid of these people. We have been very clear in word and in deed as a government, and as the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister have said, that we urge civilians to get to safety in the safe zone. We've been urging them to go to the safe zone.
There are no safe zones, you know that.
There is no. The Al-Mawasi zone has been rendered unsafe because Hamas has decided to shoot rockets out of it. Hamas decided to shoot rockets out of it, and the United Nations has said absolutely nothing about rockets being fired.
People near the Rafah crossing.
And it is absolutely tragic that Hamas continues to double down on its human shield strategy. I don't know whether your viewers understand the extent to which in the last 16 years, Hamas redesigned Gaza's cityscape in order to hide its military assets underneath civilian areas. And we have made extensive warnings for civilians to leave. We've placed 70,000 individual phone calls, dropped 7 million leaflets, 14 million phone calls, 14 million text messages. We have been going more than any army in history, and I'm quite happy to be fact-checked, more warnings than all armies in the history of counter-terrorism warfare put together to urge civilians to get out of harm's way. They are not our enemy. Our enemy is the rapist regime that perpetrated the atrocities.
There is no such thing out of harm's way in Gaza. I'm going to pause you there because we're out of time.
We would like the creation of safe areas, and we would like the UN to cooperate with us instead of condemning Israel for designating safe zones, which is what they have spuriously been doing.
You know there's no such thing as a safe area in Gaza. we're going to leave
We
it
hope
there.
there very much will be the day after Hamas.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.